Yeah, so December the 2nd, it is today. And as usual, let's get started with our prayer. So just relaxing a little bit, closing our eyes, inviting the mentors of this group, the mentors of each one of us, to be here with us. And as of today, just as a starting point, I would like to thank all the higher beings, to thank your friendship in the mood of Thanksgiving Day. I would like to thank God for the friendship, and also thank God for the opportunity to meet again with these lovely and so nice and warm group. It is a privilege, but also is such a happy moment for every one of us. So thank you, Lord, for this opportunity. Thank you for the moment, and thank you for allowing us to meet every Saturday. So, dear brother Jesus, as we gather here today to learn from the Spirit teachings, from your loving message and from each other life experience, we ask you please to come beside us now. Lead us on our study today, on the day ahead of us, and through the time when our mind cannot cope. Help us find inner peace and calming inner thoughts. You hold us safe, dear Jesus, and please do the same for every member of this group, our mentors here with us today, our family members, our houses and relatives, and all of those crossing our mind who are in need of good vibration, healing vibration right now. And so be it.
So it is.
So it is. So just a quick reminder, some of us were not here last time. So as of today, we will continue with the book discussion. The book of the day is Missionary of the Light from Luiz. So if we didn't finish, we will continue on December the 9th to discuss with the book. I put it over here. I've been very positive, thinking that perhaps we might go back to moral laws next Saturday, but the topic that we will cover today is very intense. So I think next Saturday we'll be still talking about this book. And as a reminder, so our break will be December the 24th, and then we'll be back after January the 13th. So can't remember which day that is, the 20th. Yeah, the 20th. So that will be our break for year end and Thanksgiving, Christmas. And you know, this the food for thoughts that I brought today is during the week I was hearing the story of Thomas Edison again, and it's interesting because that story kind of reminds us that actually he failed 2,774 times. According to his records, it's not a number, a fictitious number. He failed 2,774 times before reaching a working design of an electric light bulb. So, and right before his seed. He got that working design, that prototype that finally made it. A friend of him, a very good friend of him, told him to give up because, you know, after 2,500 or so, 2,700 times, then his friend thought that perhaps he was wasting his time and he should dedicate himself to something else, to do something else. Thomas Edison, he invented so many other things. But then he said, he stopped for a second and he replied back to his friend saying, you know, exactly because based on what you just said, I know what it takes to get a wrong design. And I know that 2,774 times. So one of those times I will get done. I will make it. And he was sure, so he was right. And it is one of his quotes that he said that genius is 1% inspiration and 99% perspiration. No wonder he said that. As a result, a genius is often a talented person who has simply done all of his homework. So it is indeed something for us to keep in mind. And this reminds me that actually we can apply this for everything in our life, including inner transformation, spiritual life improvement, mediumship development, and mediumistic phenomenon. So it is a hard work. It is not just a magic, something that happens, you know, from one second to another. It does require a lot of study, a lot of dedication, long hours of dedication, and yeah, a lot of work, including actual work, going outside and doing something good for someone in need. So that's something that I thought was nice to share with you guys today. Yeah, so we are talking about Missionaries of the Light. And for those who could not stay with us or be with us last Saturday, so this book, again, is about communication with the spiritual realm through many ways: psychography, psychophony, I don't know, materialization. And it does also outline all the difficulties that the mediums will face, such as addiction or disorders, sexual disorders, food, overeating, bad habits, you know, addiction to alcohol, etc. All of the bad influence of those habits into the mediumship. It does talk about the spiritual influence and vampirism, and that's the topic of the day. And but also it does bring a lot of good information about the power of prayers, and also good advices as we prepare ourselves for a materialization meeting and so forth. There is also a good definition or a concept about something that I didn't know until I read this book. They talk about accomplished spirit. So we'll see what that is, accomplished. And evidently, as André Luiz is outlining, unfolding all those stories, because he's talking about real stories that he witnessed. So he's traveling these lower realms that we call umbral. So he's traveling and, following some groups doing work in those lower realms, including Earth surface. He's visiting spirit centers or, some houses where some of the mediums are living in. So those kind of things. So all of that is happening, taking place in the lower realms. And we did discuss last week or last time about the importance of the pineal gland in the development of mediumship and how the pineal gland is key to that phenomena, as well as all the other glands, but the pineal gland is like the main one coordinating everything. And yeah, I guess we stop right there. So we the influence as we become addictive to anything that actually they talk about alcohol or gluttony or sex disorder or something, but in reality, as I was reading that book, I was thinking, well, actually, any lack of balance is not a good thing. Is detrimental to if you are trying to develop mediumship. So more than anything, you want to discipline your thoughts, discipline your feelings, and try to balance mind and heart, mind and feelings. So if anything is not following that path, then yeah, it's not a good thing for mediumship development. So the book will also emphasize many times, that mediumship experiences require good care of the physical body, and also education, enlightenment, discipline, and as André Luiz says, this is not about religious dogmatism, but about science. So, and then he's explaining why education, discipline of thoughts, etc., why that is important. So meditation, those kind of things. No, it's not about being religious. It is a science, and he explains very well. He also talks about how to calibrate and tune those tools. I mean, when we talk about tools, it's the body, all the glands, all this physical structure that we have, how we balance the body, the mind, and the spirit, how we balance that to make sure that we have a good connection, make sure that we have a good mediumship experience. And then he talks about it is like taking good care of a radio, like cleaning all the parts of a radio, cleaning all the transmitting elements, like for the tuning to happen. And when he talks about disciplined mind, evidently in thoughts, so it is like as you discipline your mind, as you discipline your thought, then you are tuning the dial to get a good connection. So depending on the quality of that tuning, then exactly who you will communicate with. And now we are talking about what they bring, André Luiz brings in the chapter 4, that is vampirism. In André Luiz's own words, he says, vampire is any idle entity that makes undue use of the possibilities of others. So I guess we all have that idea from Hollywood, right, of what the vampire is. But this definition, I think, is very nice. And then André Luiz continue saying, because to him, it is a surprise. Remember, in this journey, he is an apprentice, he is a doctor, but he doesn't know anything of all those things that he is witnessing. So he has all those questions in his mind. Is it contagious? He's asking everybody, what is that? Is it contagious? What can we do against that? And how to fight that? How to one of his questions that I thought to myself, I said, oh, wow, that's a very nice question. For a doctor, he didn't know how to diagnose, how to get a diagnostic. And it caught my attention, and it was very nice of him to recognize that he was so ignorant, because he was saying, oh my gosh, as a doctor, as a scientist, I knew so much about the body. I knew so much about the physical body and everything that happens, in our own system. But here I am on this other realm. I see all those diseases. I see all those sick people, and I have no idea how to help them, how to recognize what disease, how ill those people are. So it was a very powerful message to me, that was giving me the idea how surprised that so knowledgeable doctor was to recognize that in the spiritual realm, he knew absolutely nothing. And it was very humble of him. And then he says that anger, intemperance, sexual disorders, addictions of various shades form inferior creations that profoundly affect intimate life. So it is like almost always the sick body indicates a sick mind. And that is the origin of all the diseases that he was witnessing. And I like what Maria said to me the other day. We were talking to each other, and I was talking to Maria and said, Maria, how can we approach that without scare everybody? But vampirism is so weird, it's so creepy type of. She said to me something that I really loved. She said, Anna, what's gonna happen to a sandwich that we put on the table and we just live in there? It's gonna go bad, right? It's gonna go rot. So that's what it is. If we do not pay attention, if we are not vigilant, if we are not taking care of our health, not only physical, from health of the physical body, but also mind and our emotions, it will go that bad. And it will create condition to other beings do what the fungus is doing to this sandwich. And I thought it was a very nice image for everyone, for everybody to understand. It's not really, oh wow, that's hard to understand. No, actually, if we pay attention to nature, how nature is, what is the dynamic of nature here? It's not different on the other side. It's just a, might have a different name, but if you compare the process, it's kind of, it is very similar. So, and right here, I'd like to pause, because also talking to Luiz, seeking for more ideas how to we could present this, Luiz gave us a very nice idea for us to pause here for a minute, stop with the missionary light of the light book, and then we go to another book, which is Evolution in Two Worlds. Evolution in Two Worlds. So that book has a chapter, the chapter 15, that it is completely dedicated to this topic. And by the way, that book is one of the, to me, is a very technical book, one of the most technical books that André Luiz wrote with the help of Chico Xavier. So in that chapter 15, that is spiritual vampirism, he covers, he kind of give us a train of thoughts. So he starts talking about the parasites here in nature and how they behave, how they happen, etc. And then naturally he transitions to the same idea, but in the spiritual realm. Does it make sense? So he's talking about parasites here in our body, in nature, and then he kind of makes a correlation, a comparison to what's going on in the spiritual realm. So do I have a volunteer for reading? Luiz, do I have a volunteer? Luiz?
Okay, I'll give it a try. Thank you. Transformations of the parasite, symbiosis. There are temporary parasites, such as the leeches and nearly all the hematophagous insects, but which vampirize other animals when environmental conditions make them do it. Permanent parasites, which adjust to an exclusive host's existence by indissoluble ties, and which are almost all found among the endoparasites, which become adults in a fixed biological cycle by counting on one or more intermediary hosts during the larval stage, and then reaching their definitive form in the final host. And hyperparasites, which are parasites of other parasites. Remember, people, that this terminology is from the 1940s. So if you're a doctor now, maybe there won't be so much coincidence. But in Brazil, we have a small dictionary to decode this. Moving on, concluding that parasitism amongst animals does not derive from a natural condition, but instead from a veritable adaptation on their part to a particular mode of behavior, The parasite undergoes substantial mutations expressed in its form by organic reductions or amplifications. The disappearance of certain organs of locomotion in permanent parasites and the consequent formation of organs necessary for their stability is an example. They also tolerate lengthy periods of abstaining from any nourishment, as happens with the bed bug, which can live for more than 6 months in a state of complete fast.
So until now, André Luiz is just reminding everybody how these little organisms, how they behave, what is their behavior, and the stages of their lives. And this, keep in mind what is saying over here, organic reductions or amplification. So they are like mutants. They change their form. So this happens in the spiritual realm as well. Right, Luiz? So
Okay.
just continue.
Transformations of the parasite symbiosis. We observe many flatworms and ringworms that, due to parasitism, have lost their locomotive appendages, replacing them with cups or hooks. We can further observe the degeneration of the digestive system and various endoparasites of the intestinal variety.
Yeah, so it's very interesting here because what we observe in nature, it is like a copy of what we see and happens in the spiritual realm. So there is this video that Livia had in a study she prepared some years ago, and we will not watch the entire video, but perhaps the first 2 or 3 minutes, just so we grasp the idea of the type of parasitism and how beneficial or detrimental they are to the host. Let's see if tell me if this is too loud or the sound is okay. Okay. Can you hear anything?
Presents. What is symbiosis?
Está pouco baixo, viu, Ana?
They're talking about 2 different types of organisms cooperating to help each other survive. For example, clownfish hide from predators among the tentacles of sea anemones. In return, they feed the anemone with their own droppings. Yum yum. The anemone and the clownfish enjoy a symbiotic relationship. In biology, however, symbiosis has a broader definition than simple cooperation. It's classically defined as any long-term living together of unlike organisms. Let me say that again. Symbiosis, the long-term living together of unlike organisms. Mutualistic symbiosis, or mutualism, is when both partners benefit from the relationship, like we saw in the clownfish and the anemone. When I say that both partners benefit from the relationship, what I mean is that both organisms experience a significant increase in evolutionary fitness. They both end up being better at surviving and reproducing. Parasitic symbiosis, or parasitism, is when one benefits while the other is harmed. Ticks are a good example of a parasite. They drink your blood and then sometimes repay you with Lyme disease. Total jerks. Commensalistic symbiosis, or commensalism, is when one organism benefits while the other is not dramatically helped or harmed. Squirrels live in oak trees. They sometimes eat bark, leaf buds, and of course, they love to eat acorns. They consume the flesh of the oak tree's unborn children. This is great for the squirrel, of course, but surely this must be bad for the tree's evolutionary fitness, right? Well, multiple studies have shown that the relationship between oak trees and squirrels is both extremely complex and extremely ancient, apparently stretching back millions of years. Both organisms are trapped in an evolutionary arms race against each other. Through the ongoing process of descent with modification, acted upon by selection, Oak trees have evolved many tricks to control the behavior and population size of their ancient, furry rivals. Among other things, the tree has evolved to produce toxins inside of its seeds. Squirrels, in return, have evolved a digestive system that can handle the toxins fairly well, but more importantly, squirrels have changed their behavior. When they find fresh acorns, instead of eating them, they stash them in shallow hiding places to let rainwater detoxify them over several weeks to several months. A single squirrel can make hundreds of stashes all over its territory every single year. If the squirrel dies before eating the acorns or simply forgets where some of them were hidden, the squirrel has, in effect, planted brand new trees, often in places far enough from the parent tree that there will be no parent-offspring competition for sunlight when the saplings begin to grow. This is called seed dispersal, and it's actually good for a tree's evolutionary fitness. It helps them produce more successful offspring. While it's difficult to perfectly calculate evolutionary fitness, there are so many unknown variables involved, it appears that right now, in the middle of this crazy evolutionary arms race, many trees either break even or sometimes experience an overall fitness gain when those pesky squirrels move into their branches. Here we see.
So I will stop right here because I think it's giving us a good idea. So just paying attention that, or keep in mind that this type of relationship is happening for a long time, like the squirrel and the trees. So it's been going on for thousands of years, okay? And this dynamic is actually causing both parties, the host and the parasite, to evolve somehow or to modify. And it's going on for a long time. So it's going to be the same idea on the other side. Hi, Sif, please.
But this is absolutely incredible, the way nature works.
It's intelligent.
You know that the squirrel developed something to deal with the poisons in the acorn. Then it knows, okay, let's just leave it in the rain. Let's just wash it off, and then I'm okay. And then it plants oak trees all over the place. It is just incredible.
And this is just one example because there are so many other plants in Amazon or in Australia, New Zealand, that they developed different mechanisms to avoid the parasites. And then the parasites, they, on their hand, they developed something, you know, in their defense. So it's going back and forth. Len, please.
Oh, there's countless examples. And I mean, there's a whole subset of a discipline in infectious diseases of parasitology. But let me give you a prime example of how you have the symbiotic relationships. All right. If bacteria are not in our gut, in our intestinal tract, we cannot produce vitamin K. The vitamin K is produced from the bacteria in our intestines. If it wasn't for those bacteria, we'd bleed to death without the vitamin K. We cannot make vitamin K. So that is a great symbiotic relationship. There's another thing too. In breast milk, there is components that, how would we say, encourage the bacteria to grow in our intestinal tract. The baby doesn't benefit from it, but some of these components in breast milk that are given to the baby are not for the benefit of the baby's directly nutrition, but for the benefit of the bacteria to enhance that bacteria in the baby's intestinal tract to grow, so then vitamin K can be produced.
Wow.
There's a lot of it. And here's another example that affects us directly. Viruses affect us directly. There's countless, tens of thousands of viruses on the planet. Now, what's a virus? The ultimate parasite. It cannot produce itself. It has to get inside our cells, our own cells, to use our cellular machinery to reproduce and then grow and split open and produce progeny, thousands of progeny. Bacteria are independent of that. They don't need our cellular machinery to reproduce. They can do it outside our cells. There's countless examples of how directly the ultimate parasite being the virus, in that it gets in our cells and it uses our cellular machinery to reproduce. And then we develop symptoms from it. Like you take influenza, the influenza virus. Why do we get muscular ache in influenza? You know, it's really bad. You got the flu, right? Muscular ache. Because the influenza virus grows inside our muscle cells. That's why you get, and then they progeny, they reproduce. Yeah. Oh, there's countless examples.
Amazing. Thank you, Len. Yeah, so the video will continue on and talk about that. It's kind of long, but it's very interesting. Oops. At the end of the day, okay, so let's stop. And at the end of the day, the symbiosis of minds, that's something for us to keep in mind, that the symbiosis of minds is an example of useful symbiosis in the spiritual field. Can you see the idea? When now we are talking about minds, but very soon we'll talk about spirits. So this was from a study that Livia prepared many years ago about this, and she also had some thoughts based on the same topic, evolution in 2 words, the same chapter. Okay, so Luiz, my volunteer, voluntold.
Transformations of the parasite, symbiosis. We observe many flatworms and ringworms that, due to parasitism, have lost their locomotive appendages, replacing them with cups or hooks. We can further observe the degeneration of the digestive system in various endoparasites of intestinal variety. Now comes obsession and vampirism. In a different process, albeit manifesting the same principles of harmful symbiosis, we find the circuits of obsession and vampirisms among incarnates and discarnates, circuits which have existed since the remotest times, when the human mind, illuminated by reason, was called by the principles of divine law to renounce selfishness, cruelty, ignorance, and wrongdoing. Oh goodness, such a long time ago.
Guys, any question about that? So that's what André Luiz is saying, but there is no reason for us to doubt. From the moment we transition from that little monkey to a thinking being, that symbiosis,
yes,
and this obsession and vampirism is still, it was already there.
So let's go. Yeah. As soon as the victims of homicide and violence, patent brutality, or disguised persecution find themselves outside the physical vessel, they penetrate the mental field of their offenders. With the knowledge of the enormity of their offenders' hidden wrongs, these discarnates engage in atrocious vendettas, paying back blow with blow and evil with evil, instead of forgiveness, with which they would be exonerated from the prison of darkness. So people, just my personal comment, that's why it's such an important thing, a spirit release, development, mediumistic circles all over the world, because medicine will come to the extent that they will need this desperately. Otherwise, we are going to kill each other. People are going to get just crazy all over the world. There will be no police to hold the violence back, right? If we don't accept the idea of spirit and that we are all very sick, right? Spiritually speaking, and materialism is there to make it go to the apex.
Meaning we cannot dissociate the body, the in the body and mind and the spirit.
Yeah.
It
Some
is
all
the
one,
whole.
yeah.
Yeah.
Others, discarnates, proclaim themselves incapable of following the path of their evolution and become lazy and idle.
So André Luiz now is talking about how we become
After
a
we pass
vampire.
away. Yeah, and after we pass away, what we can do. Because look, people, passing away, going to the other side is such a huge challenge to any one of us. You'll be sometimes at the very moment your body is being buried, you'll be more conscious about your friend and family's thoughts about you. Sometimes you will hear them saying, oh, what an idiot this guy was. And so it's so much truth, it's so much reality that we have to face on the other side, that many spirits get just crazy, or they just they don't have the fundamentals to support, to stand this kind of reality. And some of them become obsessors, others become idle, they just want to go away somewhere and stay there forever and not think about life. And that's it. So lazy
Yes,
and idle.
yeah, this week I was talking to a friend of mine, and she was very sad because the situation of her mother is kind of critical. She has dementia and Alzheimer for a while now. Her health condition is poor, but she's like 81-year-old, but she is still here despite of very precarious condition of her body and mind. And she's from moments of being herself and moments of being just away. And the reason why is because one of her kids, one of her daughters who lives with her, suffers from very deep and serious depression. Meaning that sick daughter is still keeping the mother here. But guess what? What's going to happen once the mother transitions to the other side? It doesn't realize, okay, so now my job here is done. It is up to my daughter. It is up to other folks to take care of her. If she does change that state of mind, she will come back and she will stay close to her daughter, not realizing it is an obsession relationship.
Anna, my mother was a medium, well-known medium here in Belo Horizonte. I saw her healing completely many people that were epileptic, yes, in English.
Epileptic.
Yes, because through this obsession. Because most of the times, the trauma that the person has with the memory, the remembrance of the suffering from the spiritual realm, the persecution of those spirits, sometimes even the mere presence of the spirit in the room made the person try to get away from the body, and this caused a kind of a short circuit in their brain. And okay, they were living on medicine, but after spiritual treatment, they were able to leave medicine behind and live a normal life until now, right? Because of spiritual treatment. And my mother was just a high school teacher.
And actually, she was not healing because the person was not sick per se. The body was not sick.
Not exactly this, yes.
Yeah, but
there are other kinds of epilepsy, but this kind of epilepsy that people will
Was
start
provoked.
provoked, and the people start to shivering and trembling and
Wow.
convulsion. I saw her. Of course, there was a process. The person had to go to her meetings about 6 months, 8 months, but in the end, there was a healing when the spirit that was connected to her or to the person, right, was slowly detached and convinced to depart and to grow together, and then to come back, but in a healthy way, in a healthy way of getting on together, right, with
Amazing.
the carnal.
Amazing. Yeah. Very nice. So, okay, that's good.
Fluidic infections. Many attack still incarnate adversaries by stimulating their minds with monstrous mental forms, causing disturbances that we may classify as fluidic infections, which cause mental collapse with devastating insanity. Still, many others become immobilized in the selfish passions of many sorts, and consequently rest in heavy monotheism, close to the incarnates whom they do not feel capable of leaving behind.
Yeah.
Look at this. This is a seminar. We can talk about this paragraph. Yeah.
Yeah,
This
for
is
days.
they
We can talk about,
summarize.
yeah, but it's important to emphasize, Luiz, that the idea of heavy monotheism. And sometimes the person, I mean, in this case, he's talking about someone that is addictive or someone that has a bad behavior, someone that hates another person so much. But it could be also someone that is very attached to the idea of guilt, or you name it. So that if you stop, so that's why depression is so serious. Depression is so detrimental to the mind of person, and it's not gonna cease once the person dies. It's gonna continue. And if the person is just so consumed with that, the same idea, that closed circuit, the mind is just orbiting towards that same idea. So that's what it is. That's what he's talking about. Okay, continue. Folks, after this, we will watch a movie. The video is a short one. It is in Portuguese, unfortunately. We didn't have time to translate that, but we will try, Luiz and I will try. I will stop a little, and Luiz and I will try to explain. Okay, go ahead, Luiz.
Yes, you reminded me of a case, but I'm going to tell you about this after this. Ovoid parasites. Ovoid parasites, when disengaged from the physical body, countless discontented spirits set on the idea of taking justice in their own hands, or harmfully attached to others, subtly envelop the objects of their calculated attention. Self-hypnotized by the images of affection or revenge replicated in their minds, they end up in a state of deplorable monotheistic fixation outside the notions of space and time, gradually displaying enormous transformation in their morphology of the spiritual body due to organs psychosomatically atrophied as a result of disuse. They resemble ovoids attached to their victims, who generally accept their influence mechanically based on thoughts of remorse or late repentance, voracious hatred, or demanding selfishness, which they nourish in their own brains through incessant mental waves. Oof, this is something I remember I was going to tell you. I saw lots of evidence of the existence of those ovoids remember, Olivia was with me once. I was in a study in my room. We had a room here in Belo Horizonte of studies, for studies, and there was a girl. She was a true medium, but she had mental palsy and cerebral palsy, right? Cerebral palsy, paralysia cerebral. And but she was a medium, and there was a girl. I knew the girl was having very serious spiritual problems. Of course, for the psychiatrist, she didn't really have any spiritual problems. She had some kind of brain physical problem. But we could feel just by approaching the person that she was not okay, and so on and so forth. And she decided, Luiz, can I go to your study group there? So, okay, of course, you're welcome. And when she arrived, this girl that had this kind of problem, she couldn't speak. She was in a wheelchair, but she loved the studies. She was about 14 years old, something like this, 14, 16. And she started panicking. She started right, trying to, and gesturing and trying to speak something. And then we calmed her down, and I promised that I would later talk to her, right? This other person who had in this very bad condition, spiritually speaking, she said that she was really relieved in that. Oh my goodness, she said, wow, what a nice meeting. I'm feeling so light. But when I talked to the girl in the wheelchair afterwards, right, privately, she said she was terrified, but she saw that they were removing lots of big eggs from that woman's body, right? And they were throwing the eggs into a kind of white basing. In my opinion, was a kind of ectoplasm or photoplasm, right? But she said she was so the impression that the eggs caused was so scary, so terrifying. And nowadays, so many people have been involved with this, that we have panic disease, we have many kinds of mental disease are related to this kind of thing.
And the medium didn't know about this. She was a girl.
She didn't. She was a little girl. She didn't know about spiritism very well.
Oh, yeah, she was learning.
She was still starting.
And she said, I saw that.
I saw that it's kind of a ball, a little bit egg-like balls, right? That they were being removed, but they had the bad smell, they had bad impression, they caused a bad impression. And that's it, people. So this is the way for future medicine, right? We're not talking exactly here about following this or that denomination, religions, this or that. This is science, and Jesus Christ came to teach this. But of course, he was not able to teach this through science. He came in a religious people, because religious people were the only kind of people in the past that could keep the information, right? Because of the tradition or the oral traditions. So he had to come in a place like that, in a people like that, so that we could have the information so far. I think Hai-Sing has her hand up.
Oh, that I should have loaded a long time ago.
I'm sorry.
No, yes.
Okay.
Yes, it was also that the religious people had the education.
Yes, they believed in God, for example.
Yeah. Yeah, very nice. So from this moment, that's oh, sorry, Len.
No, I just we were talking at the beginning of a hurricane. Everybody wants to see a hurricane. Now think about this a minute. All our spiritual circles, the afterlife, we are in the eye of a hurricane of grief, of depression. Talk about depression. You have loved ones, you've lost loved ones. They have depression, grief. So what do docs do all over the world? They give them drugs. They treat not the source of the problem, they treat the symptoms all the time. And they don't solve the problem because they never get to the source. So if you think about it, all the spiritual circles we all belong to, I belong to several. We're in the eye of the hurricane of grief and depression.
Exactly.
So we should find a crusade, like we always try to help people, right? I call it real comfort through truth, real comfort through truth. And this is what we do. And I think what better function can we have in treating people who are suffering a depression, deep depressions because of grief? That's one of our major crusades, our mission. But look what docs do all over the world, right? Livia will tell you too. They give you drugs here. When I was in grief early on, we had dinner with Luiz and Livia, and I told them early on, the first few months, when Felicia transitioned over to the other side, all my colleagues wanted to give me drugs, depression, for antidepressants. I told them, what I told them in Italian. But what I'm saying is they don't get to the source of the problem. They treat the symptoms, the manifestation. So what we do here in all these spiritual circles is a magnificent crusade, but we are in the heart of depression, the afterlife, the hurricane of grief and depressions. That's all I want to say.
Thank you, Lynn. Hi, Steve.
Yes, I just remembered something from 80 years ago. My children were very small, 3, 2, 1. And I was having headaches. So I went to my eye doctor and said, could you check my eyes, please, because I don't know having headaches. She said, no, nothing wrong with your eyes. When she checked it, I'm going to send you to a brain doctor. So he checked, no, nothing wrong. And he said to me, do you have children? Yes. How old are they? 3, 2, 1. That's the reason for your headache, he said. I will prescribe you, what was a popular antidepressant pill? And I said, no, I got the prescription. I went up, I tore it up and said, I do not take pills.
Prozac.
Yes, that's right. So
Prozac.
So my children crowded around me and I said to them, go away, you are making me sick. Giving them to their father. I fell asleep on the living room sofa for hours. I never got a headache since. I must have been guided.
That's a very good one.
But it's a true story.
It is. And you had a good guidance because you were a connected person.
I just said, go away.
See what a good connection can do for you?
You are making me sick.
Yeah.
No more headaches.
So when the kids came back, did your headaches return?
No.
They were gone. So even now the kids visit, not a problem.
No, not that it came back. We're in the same house. It was just that I said to father, take care of them. And we had a nanny, but go to your dad. Yes, go to your dad. Give me a break.
Mm-hmm. Very nice. Thank you, Heising. Luiz.
Yeah, so that's a big problem nowadays. Some time ago, many people in Brazil became spiritists because they had any emotional or mental spiritual problem. They ran into the spirit centers. Now they take medicine. So young people, when they have spiritual problem, they take medicine. So they don't become spiritists anymore. They don't study the doctrine. They don't go to spirit centers. They don't have this kind of resource. And this is very bad because of this, not because we are against medicine at all. Okay, we're not. But this was a tool in the past that spirituality had to bring people to spirit centers, to spiritist groups. Now, even spiritists don't take their children to have their spiritual treatment in spiritist group. They take them to doctors only, right? And then one day, there is an overflow of problem and there's a collapse, right? Because the cause, as Len was saying, was not touched.
And the body can take just so much, yeah.
They want to take the easy way out. I'll take a pill. That's it. People want the easy way out.
Yeah.
They want take a pill.
You see
Instead of-
why I brought the Ed Thomas Edison story today?
Yeah, that's it.
We don't have that patience anymore.
Take a pill.
2,774 times. Imagine Thomas Edison taking the pill pressed after failing for 500
So,
times.
The same thing they talked they in an interview, the guy that made that documentary about the skull group, someone at Wendy's asked him, why don't we have phenomena like the skull group phenomena anymore? And the guy said, would you sit in the dark for 2 years or 1.5 years for 2 hours, 2 days a week for this long period without having any kind of phenomena and persist? Would you do this?
Yeah.
No, none of us would do that. So that's why we don't have skull groups anymore.
Yeah. That easy.
That's it.
Okay, so I'm gonna play this video. And Luiz, I will stop every once in a while and then we'll explain what that Portuguese is,
All right.
okay? But folks, the images is very, you can take the idea just looking at it, but we'll explain that to you. So let me see, hope that will play. So anyway, the video is about ovoids, their negative influence in obsession processes.
Nessa animação, visualizamos os espíritos revestidos apenas pela túnica ou corpo mental.
So it's saying that what we see is the spirits wrapped around the mental body. Okay.
Yeah, mental body alone, because they've already lost their perispirit with the human shape, with the same suffering the same problem that those insects and parasites suffer. They lose their members, the limbs, I mean, things like that.
Yeah.
Após a perda do corpo astral ou perispiritual, quando tomamos a parte pelo todo. São denominados pelo espírito André Luiz de esferoides ou ovoides.
So it's saying exactly what Luiz just said, and that André Luiz is calling these form shapes as spheroid or ovoids.
And remember, just a minute, remember that what causes this is over time, the monoideism, right? Or monoideism or whatever, because hatred, because of, you are centering around one thing all the time and you lose the body, right?
Yeah, so just think about what happened to your muscle if you do not exercise.
Yeah, some people call it the second death.
Exactly, that's what I was about to say. Yeah, thank you, Luiz.
Tristes mentes humanas sem apetrechos de manifestação, verdadeiros fetos ou amebas mentais, que são utilizados por mentes criminosas e perversas em processos obsessivos.
So, saying that those spirits after the second death, they stay that way, and then they're just stuck in that idea, that single idea. What happens is those spirits in that condition, they will not do much, but other minds, evil minds, will use them. Okay, and it will use them to do harm on somebody else.
Yes.
And the way that they use them is because in that shape, they can, you see right here, the ovoid right in front of one of the chakras, one of the energy centers in the body. So this ovoid will be installed, if you will be put it in there. And then if you have an ovoid in that position, in that place, it will suck your energy out. So that's how it is. That's the mechanism. That's the idea. It's just to drain your energy. So.
Tecnicamente organizados, tanto em relação aos desencarnados como encarnados. Geralmente se apresentam em forma ovalada, da dimensão de um crânio humano de aspecto gelatinoso, com características amorfas e colorações que variam de um acinzentado escuro ao negro e ao avermelhado.
Do you want to say anything, Luiz, about that? That's it.
Yes, they're saying about the shape and the color is the color, which is it's an egg-like form, is like a gem-like texture, and it's gray or reddish or really dark, and they have sometimes the size of a human brain, and they are connected to the person who those obsessors or criminal minds want to harm, right?
Yeah.
And of course, in terms of in practice, when someone comes and say, Luiz, I've been to all the doctors, I feel completely weak, I don't have any energy to do things, and I have terrible nightmares, the sensations are so nasty, there is a symptom that may indicate this kind of persecution. And it's going to need a complete spiritual treatment, right, for the person to get rid of that situation, right?
A perda do corpo astral ou ovoidização são atinentes a vários processos, que vão da reencarnação à sublimação do espírito. Aqui, focalizamos o sentido inferior dessa ocorrência.
Yeah, and over here is saying something very interesting, because there are two ways for you to lose the shape of a body, like with limbs.
Spiritual body, yeah.
Yeah, spiritual bodies. One of them is reincarnation. So you do so many reincarnations. So as you evolve as a spirit, you no longer need that Adamic form. So that's why when you see a very high, I mean, I never did, but that's why when you see a very high being, you know, very evolved spirit.
Maybe see only the face, right?
Yeah, you will not see this Adamic shape.
Yeah.
You will not see limbs. You will see light. You will see something, you know, but not. So that's what they're saying. So there are two means to lose that shape. But the other ones is what we are looking right here, the ovoidization.
Yeah, maybe.
Quando a personalidade desencarnada continua no além-túmulo, o cultivo das ideias de ódio, vingança, autodestruição, culpa, egoísmo, apego vicioso, gerando uma fixação monodeística, que é a tendência da consciência de fixar o pensamento em uma só ideia.
Yeah, so he's saying that, yeah, so after our death, after we transition to the spiritual realm, so if my mind got stuck with this idea of hatred or, you know, guilt or remorse or anyway, just that fixed closed circuit on idea, and then I'm not using the other faculties, the other, you know, skills, and I got stuck to that idea, then naturally I will lose the spiritual body.
Yes, I know we are at the end, but just to remember and remind us that how important Jesus Christ and his doctrine to us about forgiveness. Because if you want to be forgiven, we need to forgive. Because when we pass away, many times we'll find things that will demand self-forgiveness from us, and forgiveness in terms of other people too, that we will start to know better after we pass away. So it's really demanding the doctrine of forgiveness in this case.
Yes,
provocando alterações fisiológicas.
absolutely.
Yep.
Yeah.
To want to be forgiven, you have to forgive.
There we go.
Exactly. Yeah.
Oh, and I think time's up. The time.
Oh, 1:16. Okay, so we can continue with the video next time. We'll start from here. But anyway, the idea is really to show you guys how this is formed, and then the next Saturday we'll see how those ovoids are used by criminal minds. Len, you have your...
Yeah, a few quick comments about forgiveness. We talked about extensively through our meetings. That's, as you know, I consider that's the big one, forgiveness, for a lot of different reasons. But as they say, forgiveness liberates you. So once you forgive, you're liberated. All right. Yep. The other thing about quick comments about the opioid, we have an epidemic in the United States. I don't know what it's like in Brazil, but opioids and now marijuana, extended to marijuana, cannabis, which now more and more states are making legally recreational marijuana. You pull up anywhere at a grocery store, a gas station, you're smelling the marijuana. It's people that cannot deal with their grief, their depressions, their trials and tribulations of an incarnation, and they go to marijuana now. They go to the opioids, etc., on and go. Instead of, they take the easy way out, the pill, whatever it may be, instead of getting to the source of the problem, not just the symptoms, and to take a pill. And this is why spiritualism, what we do and spread, is so important. We have a major problem here with opioids and marijuana in the United States. I don't know what it's like in Brazil, but it's epidemic proportions.
Somehow. Yeah, but not, I think in the United States, it's more advanced now, but we're going to get there. Right?
Luis, I pulled up at the gas station yesterday. I'm smelling marijuana as I'm getting gas. And
no, America,
they're driving, doped up.
Americas are going down the path of spiritual because Americas have a compromise with Christianity that Europeans don't, because they suffered too much with Christianity. But America and Brazil, for example, they had the opportunity of living experiencing a different Christianity, a little bit more open, a little bit more, but even so, we left it behind. And we are paying the price.
I have a pulse on it because, you know, when you're on the books and Amazon, YouTube's, you know, you're out there. Okay. So I get I get a pulse on people. More and more in the United States are discovering spiritualism. They are getting involved with the afterlife. So it is developing. The thing is, as we said in Brazil is the heart, we're the brain, but we got the blood-brain barrier. It's not penetrating through.
That's it. Yeah.
It's not penetrating through. We got the blood-brain barrier. So, but there is hope. Spiritualism is growing in the world and in the United States. As I'm out there on Amazon, I got a pulse on it. So people are, but there's the other large groups that are on marijuana, opioids, and all this other stuff. And the docs, I really get upset with a lot of docs. They just say, here, take some antidepressant, Prozac, whatever, take a pill.
Materialists.
Yeah, but think about it. The patient is their customer. They have a business. They don't want to lose their customer. So they got to keep the customer happy. The customer wants a pill. So they give them Prozac. They give them a pill.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's not medicine. You're not practicing medicine then.
Let's do our job, people. Yes, if you can in America, I know how difficult it is to approach young people nowadays. If you can, try to sit down and talk to young people. It's a thing, it's a duty we have to do. Even if your youngsters say, oh, mom or grandpa, you're just crazy. No, say to them, I need to talk to you about something. You will need this kind of knowledge. So when you are desperate, please access this, right? I think it's
That's
the
a
beauty
beautiful
that
thing
we
at the
can-
conference in Brazil. You had all those students there.
yeah.
We create, we raised our kids to be happy, and we missed the point when we thought, oh no, we cannot get them frustrated. But guess what? Frustration does teach a lot. You know, if you can overcome 1 or 2 or 3 frustrations a day, then you more than likely you will succeed in life without the use of those helpers.
What's the great the expression? Great trials bring great blessings.
That's it.
Exactly.
Very good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Folks,
Okay. See you then.
very
Bye,
happy to
guys.
see
Salute,
you.
sir.
See you
Salute.
next
Thank
time.
Thank you very
Salute.
much.
Yes.
Thank you.
Bye.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
See you next time.